Mobility review. Today we're going to talk about flossing. There's two types. Real quick, floss bands. We don't include these a lot in our program, but if you have a set yourself, I may include some floss band work in your program. Anyhow, here's the review. It's a rubber band of medium to heavy stiffness. The idea is we can wrap it around an area that feels stiff or tight. It could be a joint, it could overlap a joint, or it could be a muscle. The way I'm wrapping here, I'm starting at the knee and I'm going upward. You put pressure with a lot of tension with the band so that you have a little bit of restriction against the muscle, and then you move that muscle around, okay? The purpose, perfusion and reperfusion of blood. So with pressure, we're moving blood out of the area temporarily. When that blood comes back, it's gonna bring a lot of warmth, it's gonna bring a lot of hydration, it's gonna bring a lot of oxygen, so it can help areas that we're targeting that we wanna warm up or increase the health of, in this case, mobilization, mobility of tissue and joints, okay? We could also understand that the distance between 2 points, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And so if we simply bend this band, now the distance between my right and left hand, although across that straight line would still be shorter, it's gotten a lot further as it wraps around the front of my knee. And so as we put pressure against our muscle tissue over and over again as we create wraps, it lengthens the tissue. We move and that tissue gets even longer. So it can enhance other mobility drills. If you add it to movement, or if you're just targeting one area, it can help quite a bit. Second, and more often used and more easily adaptable to everyday scenarios, muscle flossing, not band flossing. Muscle flossing would be putting tension on a muscle group and then moving that muscle around a little bit to enhance and change the stretch. So for instance, if I set myself up for a hamstring stretch and I were to lean forward to start to engage that stretch, rate the stretch 1 to 10, 10 being really intense, 1 being really moderate, I lean in, I can change that stretch gradient by backing up and leaning in, and backing up and leaning in. That's not flossing, that's just setting the stretch. Once I set the stretch, I'm gonna bring it down to like a 5, hold. Now I can move other things that never let the stretch go all the way off, but increase and decrease it a little bit. So I can move my foot up and down while maintaining the position for the hamstring stretch. That changes that stretch. It goes up to like maybe a 6.5, 7, and then I point the toes and it drops to maybe just under a 5. So I can modulate that stretch. I can move my head up and down. Again, keep my torso where it was, and I move my head and neck, and I feel a little change in that hamstring, same, but I also feel some other things in that length in that line stretch. That would be one version. If I was gonna set up like a hip flexor stretch and a quad stretch, here's another awesome position. I can take my pelvis. Once I move a little forward and I establish a stretch on this left side, I can take my pelvis and I can move my pelvis with pelvis tilts. And that modulates that stretch here. Really intense, lessens it a little. And so, again, muscle flossing would be setting a stretch, establishing a position for a stretch, and then moving some other portion of your body a little in, a little out, a little turn, a little tilt, to see if you can increase and decrease the stretch a little bit. You never let off the stretch. You're still on, but you're lengthening and shortening while in that stretch. Muscle flossing, band flossing, mobility review.